So my name is Laurie Legrand. I work for EDO. We're based in London. I'm going to tell you today about statistical entity linking. Now it maybe doesn't make sense. Entity linking is just about finding topics in texts, but we'll go through that. And this presentation is for novice, so don't hesitate to ask any kind of questions. Okay, so first, before I tell you about the topics and stuff, I want to explain to you why we're doing that. So I have just one slide about my company. So we do content marketing. And so marketing, you know what this is, and content marketing is when you focus on the content you write. Could be blogs or articles, white papers, whatever. So our goal is to help our clients, especially marketing and sales team, to better understand their content online. So it seems like they're writing it, they should know. But sometimes if you have, I don't know, thousands of articles online, you need to take a step back. So we're helping there. We also track users, so we're able to build a profile for the users based on what they looked at, what articles they looked at. And from that, we're just one step away from doing a recommendation for the user. And when I say user, I mean readers. Or, yeah. Okay. Let's make it a bit more concrete. So that's the kind of analysis we do. Maybe I should start with this. Okay, this is an article. Oh, by the way, we also use our products internally. It's not only for clients. And in this case, everything I'm going to show you today is about our own articles. Okay, so this is an article. You can see where we took it from here. Yeah. And yeah, the goal is to make kind of a summary with just topics. So it's much easier to just have a look at this word cloud than to look at the article and see what it's about. So that's for one article. Now, when we put all the articles together and sort by topics, we can see what we talk the most about and compare that. So what we talk the most about would be on the top, and we can compare that to how many people looked at the topic or article. So we accumulate the articles, the views for each article about this topic. So and that's the horizontal bar. So for example, okay, oh yeah. That's what it's supposed to do. Okay, this topic is machine learning. So you can see that we don't talk much about it. I guess maybe our clients just wanted to work and not really understand what's under it. Yeah, actually, just the opposite. We don't talk much about it because it's at the bottom. But you can see that people tend to read those kind of articles more. Okay, now I cannot say that we should write more about this because we only provide statistics and visualization, and then it's completely up to the marketers to decide what to do. It's just to understand better. Okay. And last one. So here I can show you a user profile. So we took all the articles he read or she read, and built a word cloud again, based on the word clouds of the articles. Okay, that's it. I think you've got a good idea of what we are doing. Do you have any questions here on what we're doing? Does it make sense? Okay, okay. Okay, so yeah. One thing to remember, that's what makes us a little bit different from other competitors. Yeah, we focus on the interest and not that much on the socio-demographics like age and gender, whatever. We think that topics is more useful when you want to talk to people, their interests. And everything has to be automatic, all the analysis, because we have tons of content. Right, so one word topics. It's the summary of what we're doing. Now, we are a team of 3 working on content analysis at EDO. We do use Python for build automation and web services, but the entity linking, like what I'm going to show you today, is written in Scala. However, it doesn't matter because I'm not going to show you one single line of code. It's more about the method, the overview. Okay, so yeah, I've been to a few conferences, mostly PyData, and very often when I say I work on natural language processing, people just assume I do deep learning, which I find funny that it happens so often. So I thought I should do a talk just to say, hey, sometimes we don't need that, or there is another way. So yeah, we use statistics. Okay, now I will explain a little bit more what entity linking is. Then I will tell you about the method, how we do it. That's the main part. And our method is based on DBpedia Spotlight algorithm. Yeah, we just improved from there. And then at the end, I think it will be quick. I will tell you about data pre-processing and how we adapt here and there the statistics theory. Okay, entity linking. So I told you already, it's finding topics in a text written in a natural language. So it could be English, French, German, whatever. And demo again. Okay, so this is the DBpedia Spotlight service. So I'm going to use it because it's very handy. And just in case our system goes down, like you never know. It never happens, but okay. It's a bit annoying. Does it fit? Okay, right. Okay, so by default they put it a text, but we can use another one which is going to be much better. Let's see what if we can annotate, find topics in this piece of text. Okay, so yeah, the tool was able to find Python. Okay, that's not much, I reckon. Now, if we lower the confidence, you know, yeah, there is always a little doubt about what topic are in the text. So yeah, you can vary the confidence to fit your needs in terms of precision and recall. Okay, let's try again. Okay, lots of topics now. Well, yeah, that's it. So I can click on there, and yeah, it will point me to a topic. In this case, academic conference. I think it's fair in this context. But yeah, you get the idea. Okay, so for us, a topic is one Wikipedia article. It works well. There are plenty of articles, good coverage and all. So that's where we start from. When I say we, it's Spotlight, DBpedia Spotlight as well, and many other tools. What else? Yeah, so yeah, that's why maybe it makes more sense now to call it entity linking, because we try to link back to Wikipedia. Okay, there are a few terms you need to know. One is surface form. So it's just a group of words, or just one word sometimes, that refers to a topic. So yeah, like you know the hoverboard from Back to the Future. Well, there are many spellings that are possible. So in that case, we say that there are two surface forms for this topic. Next term that is very important is the context. So by that I mean the words that are around a topic. I can show you maybe here. Oh, it's tiny. But yeah, you see, like the surface form would be this big blue thing here, and the topic would be, well, what is labeled here, or again, you have it here. And the context, well, yeah, you know, the words before, the words after. Okay, and oh yeah, another important thing is the topic, but I told you already, it's just a page on Wikipedia. Okay, so is it easy to find topics in text? So what about this one, this text? Like Python. Python, is it obvious that, well, for you it's obvious that Python refers to the programming language, but you know it may also mean an animal. So that's not that easy. What else? Cloud9. Cloud9 is, I would say, an idiom. So not only it's in 2 words, but then it's an image on top of that. So that's another challenge. And yeah, so because it's it has several words, the algorithm have to decide to pick the words together and not annotate cloud on one side and 9 on the other side. Okay, so now the method, how we do it, or DBpedia Spotlight does it. We start by building a model. Well, you will see it's only statistics and numbers stuff, and then we apply it. So we build the model once, and then we can apply it on many texts. Okay, so, well, I think you have guessed, like, to build our model, we learn from Wikipedia, because, well, it's so easy. Like, they have all the links already to the correct topic. So yeah, so we start from this assumption. One link in Wikipedia for us is one annotation that we want to make in our client's articles. Oh yeah. So who has ever created or edited a page on Wikipedia. Good. So yeah, let's see. That's cool. Oh, I forgot to. Where is it? Where is my edit link? No, I don't need it. Oh, yeah, it makes sense. Well, let's see if... France, go. Oh, no. Okay, it's there. Okay. Hop. Ta-da! Okay, so here, well, wait, okay, this one. Can you see it all right? Yeah. So this is how you encode a link in Wikipedia language. So it's, let me remember, I think it's the surface form first, and then the topic, and not culture. Let's say that. Yeah, so that's what we use to then annotate our texts. Okay, so now the algorithm. There are 3 steps. First, find all potential surface form in the text. So any surface form we've seen before in Wikipedia. Then we can decide to annotate or not. Like some words or expressions are rarely annotated, so even if we've seen it before annotated, like maybe we should not do it. And then very often the surface forms are ambiguous, so we have to decide which topic to choose. Okay, so from that, can you imagine what statistics or numbers we need? So the first one is quite easy. We just need a set of surface forms we've seen. Then decide to annotate or not. Like, well, there are many ways to do it, but the way we picked is based on the probability of annotation in Wikipedia, which is just the number of times we've seen this surface form annotated divided by the number of times we've seen it annotated or not. Okay, it's all there. I hope you're convinced. This should help us build all the stats, answer the 3 steps here. Okay, so maybe the context, you remember, it's the surrounding words, just to make sure. Okay, hope it makes sense. Now, so that's the stats we want, but we can break it into numbers. So from the point of view of a surface form, we need the number of times it's been annotated, the total number of times we've seen it. For topics, we want the number of annotations, the context, and an important one is the connection between topic and surface forms. Okay, so I picked a paragraph from Wikipedia, and that was that. How does it look? Okay. So yeah, that was in gray you have the annotations. So the topics is in gray and the surface form is in blue. So from that text, I don't know if it's trivial or not. So just tell me if it's boring. I will skip that. But for the surface forms, we said we need the number of times it's been annotated, number of times it appears in general. So for that text, well, that's the result. So I think you've you could have done it yourself. Just one thing I want to emphasize is that sometimes we have surface forms that have several words, and because of that, we have to look at kind of any sequence of words that appear in the paragraph. For example, engineering doing, it doesn't mean anything. It will never be annotated, I guess, but we still have to gather data about it. Okay, for the topics, we said we want the number of annotations and the context. I think this one is easy, so just to clarify, the context is a multiset. So you have words, and one of them, science, occurs twice. And another thing that's interesting here is that we stemmed the words. That is that we only keep the root. So for example, okay, engineers becomes engineer. So that later it's easier to compare. Like we don't really care if it's one or many engineers when you try to disambiguate a word. Like it's the same. So that's it. Okay. Last one, the associations between topic and surface form. We just count them. Like, okay. Just summary. Okay, so now we have our model. So we're ready to annotate text. Okay, let's keep the same example as before. So yeah, do you remember the 3 steps? So first, identify all the surface forms that we've seen before annotated. So that step, it's made up, right? So let's say we have those words. Then we decide to annotate or not. So let's say 9 is a word that appears, or an expression that appears many times, but is rarely annotated, because most of the time it's just the number 9 and everybody knows what it is. So the annotation probability of this word would be very low. So usually we discard it. But it all depends, like I've shown you before in here, we can play with the confidence level. So it all depends on that, but yeah, very low scores, very low annotation probabilities get skipped. Okay, another interesting one, Cloud versus Cloud9. Like, I mean, Cloud is annotated quite a lot. Cloud9, I'm not sure, but let's assume it is. So in that case, what dbPLR Spotlight does is keep the expression with the higher annotation probability. And then Python and code, I think it's straightforward. There's no reason to skip them. Now last step is to find the topics for the surface forms. Only Python is ambiguous, I think. Yeah. So how do you know if it's the animal or the programming language? Well, let's say let's say that the context supports the programming language, because everybody knows that Cloud9 is very related to Python, the programming language, because it's awesome. So yeah, that's the kind of things we would use to disambiguate. Okay, so I think you've seen what I wanted to show you. The most important thing, just that we can use stats. That's fun. Now, it's not just counting, as I showed you with the tables, because there is a little bit of preprocessing. So we've seen that we have to stem the words, like keep only the root. We also have skip words, and I think I forgot to tell you about that. It was too small in here. Yeah, there are words that just don't help. They are everywhere, and they just don't help disambiguate. We could say they have a very low discriminative power, so we just skip them, and we call them skip words. Ta-dam! Okay, and another challenge is that Wikipedia dump is huge. Well, it's awesome that it's freely available and compressed and easy to download and all. But then you have to have good tools, parallelized stuff to deal with it. Oh, and so I'm giving just an overview, but if you're interested in really how to do it, and specific tools to use, you can check our blog. There's a link at the end. One of my colleagues made a very good job at looking at all the possible tools that takes you from the dump to something that Spotlight can understand and deal with. Okay, so yeah, a big challenge. I think the fundamental issue is that Wikipedia, the texts, are not representative of our texts. So not only the text, but also the annotations. So if you look at the text, like Wikipedia tends to be very formal. That's not necessarily the case in a blog. And for the annotations, like sometimes topics are trivial, maybe United States, and it would not be annotated. But for us, it's important. Yeah, and okay, there are a few errors in Wikipedia, but that's not a big deal. Like other issues are just yeah, much more annoying. So something that is weird, like I was kind of surprised. Very often we see links between surface forms and topics that just don't make sense. Just you have no idea what article could have, or what a human mind could have thought that these two are related. There is lots of that. Also, it's quite rare, but when it happens, it's very hard to fix. It's the word yesterday. So yesterday, it appears a lot. No, it doesn't appear much in Wikipedia. And when it appears, usually it's the Beatles song. However, yesterday appears a lot in our clients' articles. So every time we tend to say, oh, you're talking about the Beatles. It is just not that. Yeah, and also, I think we've seen that just 2 seconds ago, 5 minutes ago, when I clicked here. Do you remember what surface form I clicked before I ended up on that page? The surface form was France. So, yes, I mean, it's not wrong. I mean, in that case, France actually means the France club, whatever. But when you're analyzing the client article, you don't want the football club. Okay, so when we have issues like that, there are two ways we tackle them. So if it's something that happens a lot, like we can see patterns, then in that case we can change a bit the algorithm, and then we solve many issues at the same time. So what kind of changes we do? Like very often it's just adding a rule that says, well, if this case or that case, then give this surface form more chance to be annotated, or this topic more chance to be picked. So for example, I think we have a boost for capitalized phrases. So where the first letter of each word is capitalized, because we know by experience that very often we want to annotate those. Okay, but what if we don't see a pattern and it's a very specific case? Well, in that case, I'm not proud of saying it, but we just tweak the numbers. We tweak the numbers of topic occurrence or the associations between topics and surface forms. I think there is no other way for some cases. And also, if a client wants something very fast, this is the first thing we do, and then we think about changing the algorithm. About changing the numbers, you can check our GitHub. There is a Spotlight model editor that helps you do that. And it's more than changing the number. It's a bit more high level. Like if you want a topic to be never picked, you can do that. Or if you want a surface form, or maybe sometimes you're missing a link between a topic and surface form. Like if it's nowhere in Wikipedia and you want it, then you can add it using this tool. Okay, we are getting close to the end. So yeah, what I want you to remember is that yeah, Wikipedia is awesome for NLP. It's huge. It's open source. It's just great. It's manually annotated, which is sometimes something hard to find. My main point was that statistics can be useful for NLP, and that, well, numbers alone or statistics alone are not sufficient, especially when your learning data set is not the same as the output you want. And so we use rules to fix that. Okay, a few links. The first one is an article I really like. The one that helped me understand why all those statistics make sense. And well, the other one you can guess one is the demo page, DBpedia Spotlight, I used earlier on. Yeah, we also have a blog with interesting articles. Some of them are related to entity linking, some of them are not. They are all interesting. And finally, our GitHub. So yeah, our annotator, entity linking, is not public, but there are many other things that you might be interested in. Thank you.